Here.
All right, we have started recording. Dave Savage coming live. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach Friday Mastermind. Every Friday, 9 o'clock Pacific. We are here live to answer your questions, discuss the topics that are burning most for you. I did put a post in our Facebook group yesterday. I don't know that I got any comments. When I looked at it a few hours ago, I didn't see any. So we've got some topics. We'll take the lead on that, but do want to remind folks, this is a mastermind for you. So if you're watching this live, you can impact the content and the conversation. Just put a comment down below. If you're watching it in Facebook, comment down below. And if you're watching it in Zoom, comment down below. Also, if we say something that you think is a great quote, killer takeaway, we reference something, please, make your notes social, so we all learn faster together. That's what this is all about. Mortgage Coach Mastermind, where the best get better faster. Todd, what is up, my brother?
It's just a beautiful Friday here in Phoenix. It's going to be like 70 degrees and beautiful. I'm feeling, thoughts and prayers are with those up in Sonoma who are getting the flooding. And, I talked to my daughter this morning who got snow in New York. I know, Jen, you're covered in snow, but here it's pretty darn nice. And I'm super excited to be here with the rest of the crew.
Well, we can tell how excited you are with that lean haircut you got, man. You're looking like you can, looks like you're going to run faster than ever after that.
I'm ready. I got to look good. I felt bad for Scriptapalooza. I wasn't at my haircut best.
Yeah. And I noticed. I was going to say something. Jen Duplessis, thank you. It's been a few weeks since we've had you. I know you've been on the road as an industry speaker and coach, so it's good to have you make time for us.
Thank you. Well, I it's not about making time. I love to be here. It just, I'm usually traveling, and I don't want to commit to something I can't do, but yeah, it's been 5 weeks. I've been on the road. I've been home for 3 days, and I'm going back on the road again for another 3.5, 4 weeks, starting Monday. And gosh, I am learning so much, and I'm just so pumped if we get the chance, right, today to just sort of debrief everybody on a city summit that I just went to and had the wonderful pleasure of meeting Les Brown. Darren Hardy's one of my mentor. I love Darren. I got to meet him at Mastermind Summit a couple of years ago and got my pitch taken with him. But this one, wow, this was great. Done. Bucket list done. But I'm just so excited to share some of just the quick tidbits that I got from all these wonderful people, if we have the opportunity today, so that, we're about productivity and about self-improvement. And these are going to be great for everybody. So get ready to take notes.
Good. Well, Les Brown is an icon, and I've had the pleasure of seeing him a couple times in meeting him. And he's just such a genuine, authentic, passionate man. So we're going to make time. We want to hear what you got from that. So let's plan on doing that. Okay. By halftime, be ready to share your notes. Michelle Town, it hasn't been that long because you were on Scriptapalooza. And why don't we make that the first topic? And Michelle, why don't we start, because I don't know how much of it you were on, but I know you were on a fair amount of it. You were also one of the leaders who shared some scripts and ideas. But I just love to know any takeaways you got from the time you spent on Scriptapalooza.
Well, I have to be honest with you. I haven't had time to go back and listen to all of it, but I listened to the first 3, and then I had to move on. And you guys saw my book of notes just from, who was our first one? Julie?
We had Julie number 2, and we had Shannon out of Bozeman as number 1.
Yeah, it was just Julie's notes, and I actually downloaded one of her forums, which I actually love, and we're gonna not steal it, but make it ours as well. She's just incredible, and I was actually speaking with my coach afterwards. And I forwarded the Scriptapalooza as soon as she sent it to everybody on her group. She has a training group of 33 new loan officers coming in, and I said, guys, if you're not listening to the Scriptapalooza, it's going to give you so much, but you could probably spend 2 days listening to Scriptapalooza and write down 3 things. My thing's the power of 3. So write down 3 things, and you would change your work models right away. It was incredible. every single one of them you can take a piece of and make it your own. I would encourage anybody who didn't get a chance to listen to it to take this weekend, stick it on your earbuds while you're, you know, out walking around, and just go for it. And that's not a
yeah,
really.
No, it was. Yeah, I moved it off that picture with your eyes closed.
Thank you.
Oh, it's back. It's back. So I will. Okay, what can we do here? Let's see if I can move it off of and see what's that. Oh, we got John Downs.
Yeah, there you go.
Get the one at John when he held up his Win by Noon. That's the one I want to see.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to find that in the moment, but that was a good one, Todd. And I'm sure that was your favorite. So guys, here's first of all some clip notes. This call had over 1,000 mortgage professionals live throughout the entire call. You know, there were hundreds watching it in Facebook Live, and I can't remember the last time I saw hundreds of people live in Facebook. You know, we definitely broke a mortgage coach record of the most people at the same time watching anything in our live channel. I think over 1,400 views in Facebook now. And we just published this, and you know, I'm sure by the end of the day, it's going to be over 600, probably over 700. So a lot of top mortgage professionals are tuning into this. You know, one takeaway I have, just because so many people have commented on it, I've gotten text messages, emails, you know, social messages. I think one takeaway is just how thirsty the industry is for best practices right now. You know, so one personal takeaway I had is that there's a lot of change taking place. While I do know some mortgage professionals that are having better months and they're trending, they're up. I do know a lot of folks that are, you know, they, even if they're flat, they're working harder than ever, they're stressed more than ever. And this concern that, I mean, even Zillow, you know, the recent press release that Zillow made on how they've Uberized real estate, I just think there's a new level of fear and concern and a new level of intensity that I need to do my best. My words matter, my scripting matters, my presentation matters. And so that was just one takeaway I had. Todd, anything from the event itself, any of the nuggets that you think we should talk about or share?
You know, I think there's so many nuggets there. And I think that, Michelle, you kind of hit the nail on the head. You got to re-listen to it. And what I would encourage you to do is actually watch it with a friend or two, your branch, your team. I would tell you that the numbers that Dave quoted, you know, you look at it, like my team had 7 people watching at one time. So the numbers were more inflated. But what I find is that when somebody else is sitting next to you hearing it, they're going to hear it differently. And so like when John Downs and I were at Agent 2021, our big takeaways that we shared on the Tuesday call that we talked about were from the same conversation. He took one thing away from it. I took something different. And so I would encourage you to get together with someone you know that you trust, and then share ideas, trade that out. Cause I think that's your opportunity to learn and then figure out what it is that's the most strategic thing for you to focus on, whether it's the rate conversations, whether it was the annual mortgage review conversations. And then I would tell you that all of you should listen to Nicole Solari towards the end, because she had some great realtor scripts that you can use to train and educate your agents how to refer you better. Those were kind of the ones that were highlights for me, but I thought overall it was just a phenomenal call.
Yeah, you know, pull out a couple other nuggets that I personally loved. And Michelle, if you can scan your notes, maybe give something specific from what Lori said. So couple nuggets. And you guys have heard some of this before, so some of it's reminders. And if you listen to Scriptalooza, you obviously heard it. But when Keith Collins was sharing his best practices, you know, a simple thing like when he's doing his total cost analysis, he's assuming that every family is going to get the online lender, big bank, lowest rate, highest point option. So he's making sure that in his total cost analysis, you know, even if it's an FHA borrower that barely qualifies, you know, and they want a, you know, lowest cash to close deal, he's still putting as one of the options, lowest rate, highest cost, because he knows that that's a threat and a risk. And so the proactivity and the proactive way in which he's doing that, I thought was smart, and it bears repeating for anyone that missed it. And then probably my personal highlight was just, and I hate to be a Josh Metal fanboy, but you know, the way he was like making mortgages fun again, you know, his scripting on, you know, I'm going to help you. I'm going to make things clear and it's going to be fun, you know, and he just had the scripting of how he talked about making mortgages fun and the attitude he had around making mortgages fun, I thought is exactly what we all need right now. You know, not only do we need it because it's a competitive differentiator, most loan officers, when you talk to them, you know, it's, I've got great rates, I close loans quick, you know, maybe they joke and they're having, you know, they're doing this and that, but they're not talking about how they're making mortgages fun. And so I personally really enjoyed that whole riff. Todd, did you want to pile on that?
You know, it reminds me of two things. It reminds me of hearing Andy Andrews speak years ago, and he said that the best advice he had for loan officers is to smile while you're on the phone, which sounds really funny, but he said it's really hard to not actually project happiness and excitement across the phone if you smile. And that sounds really weird. And I would tell you that the speaker who got up after him kind of made fun of him for it, which was inappropriate. However, I'm reading the book Never Split the Difference by Voss. He's an FBI negotiator. And literally one of his first comments he made was make sure you're always smiling because you always want to come across. That was one of his top 3 points, was to be a positive person on there. Although his first one was to talk in a nighttime DJ radio voice that's kind of quiet and calming, which I don't know. That wasn't very good. But if Bill Hart was here, he'd be crushing that DJ voice.
Bill Hart always crushes the DJ voice. Jen, I don't think you had a chance to be on Scriptapalooza, but just hearing the conversation that we've had and where we're going with this, anything you want to jump in on?
Yeah, well, I just want to make 2 quick comments, and I'll just wait till my other part to make the third. But, you know, we talked about this several months ago about the smile while you're on the phone. And I just want to reiterate some training that I got, you know, back in 1983 when I first got in the business. And we had a little mirror, you know how we have our iPhones now leaning up against, you know, on our desk and things like that. We had a mirror and it had inscripted on it, can the customer hear your smile? You get that? Can the customer hear your smile? And so I don't take that very lightly at all. I think that's super, super important. And, you know, it goes back to one of the things that I'll be talking about later on about joy in our business, about, you know, making mortgages fun again. I think that that's super, super critical. So I want to just talk about, you know, those 2. I think that's what I've heard so far. And I love hearing that. So I just want to share that again. Can the customer hear?
Yeah, I love that. Someone write that down and put that in comment. Mm-hmm. Can the customer hear you smile? Jen Duplessis, you know, love that phrase. And Jen, this will be a great tee up for you in 10 minutes-ish when we get into some of your topics. Michelle, anything else come to mind on Scriptapalooza?
Well, I do have some notes that I wrote about, you know, the mortgage planning goal worksheet and the life planning milestones, you know, just really getting to know your clients a little bit more. I mean, like everybody's saying, I mean, everybody says they have the lowest rate, they close the fastest loan, but that's really, that can't be what's important. If that's all that's important, again, that doesn't work into my client. That's not my client because I can't close in 7 days. I could, but it's going to be painful and it's going to be painful for them. And I choose not to. It's just too short of a time frame for me. And, you know, I had an interview with a client and I called them and they said, oh, just send me the needs list. And I said, before I do that, because it was a referral from a client or one of my agents, I said, would you mind? I said, I need 5 minutes of your time. I said, I call it my getting to know you phase. I said, because I can send you an email, but that's not, I don't know if that's what the email that you need to have. So we actually spent an hour on the phone laughing, smiling, giggling, talking about their kids, finding out that, you know, one of her daughters was the same age as my sister's daughter, and they're both setters for volleyball. And we really had that connection. So by the time we got done with I call it our dating phase, we were laughing because both of us said, I said, I feel like I'm on a date right now. I said, but I need to get to know you and understand what you want to do. And it made all the difference in the world because she normally uses Chase Mortgage. She's out of that realm. She doesn't fit in that box anymore. And she has a lot of people she can choose from. And she said, I really feel a connection with you. My husband and I already love you. Send us what we need and we'll get it right back to you. So I would encourage, you know, again, along the lines of what Jen's saying, let's make this fun again. Let's make it, it can't just be work because it's going to drain you if it's just always work and monotonous and something I know we'll talk about later is Darren put on the top 12 attributes of a team A player, but he does a intro before he starts going through the top 12, and it was energetic, fun, reminding you of, what you're supposed to be doing, that this isn't a job, this is a career, this is a lifestyle, and picking your teammates that understand that, you have your mercenaries, that he calls them, which are the ones that just come in for a paycheck, and then you have your patriots who are there to get the job done. So I choose to be a patriot because I couldn't be the person that comes in for a paycheck. It would kill me. So that's what I would say. And, the Scriptapalooza, I think, gives that a lot of fun again, and reminds you that we can make this better than just 5 questions we ask you and then we give you a loan. Let's make it more personal. And I think you're going to have a successful year if you can do that and have more fun at it.
Yeah, I love what you said. And I don't know, let's try to get a link to that video, that Darren Hardy video.
It's already in.
So Todd,
I'm ahead of you. I already got it in there. That's how efficient I am, since Michelle was nice enough to send it to me. Thank you, Michelle. And I'm going to be sure it's on my to-do list now to watch later this afternoon or over the weekend.
Yeah, so we're a team. That was some awesome teamwork. Make sure you guys check that out. I'm also going to make that something I do by the end of the day. And that just reminded me on something else. So, let's kind of wrap up our Scriptapalooza conversation. Remember, guys, this is a mastermind, and the Mortgage Coach marketing team right now and our customer success team, they're working on creating this Scriptapalooza playbook. So all of the assets that were mentioned by leaders on the call will all be available in a handout. So this will, one, give you an idea of what emails they're using, everything that was mentioned. And then for anybody that's watching it again, going back and watching it again, you'll have this playbook that, like, when a loan officer mentions this, you've got to supplement. So my ask to everybody, to make sure we don't miss anything, if there was something that was really important that was, showcased at Scriptapalooza, comment down below, like, I want the takeaway X, or my favorite quote was this: the more you guys help us, the better job we'll do at creating a deliverable. So that brings up one more thought on my end, and then Todd, I'll let you close out this Scriptapalooza conversation. When I heard you talking about Darren, it reminded me of an interview, and this interview was just a couple days ago with Coach Bill Hart, and you brought up Coach Bill Hart's name. Some of you know this, some of you don't, but he recently started a new podcast called All In. And I love that metaphorically. It's one of those really powerful concepts, like Win by Noon, which is a great product, a great productivity platform. But just knowing this Win by Noon concept makes you better. And I think All In is the same thing. It's like, are you all in? Are you all in at being the best loan officer that you can be? Because while Scriptapalooza, the words matter, the scripts matter, the emails matter, but if you are just like, okay, I'm giving some families my best, offer, the ones that grind me and really push me, and then some of the families I'm just doing what I need to get the app and get the deal. If you're not all in for every family, it's just going to be really, I think, a very rough year. And I also think it's just going to be a very rough season in the mortgage industry, because with the tech disruptors, and I don't want to open another, conversation around this, but Kristen Messerl and I published an article saying seismic shift has happened. We are very intentional about, like, shift isn't happening. It happened. And greater transformation is coming, which, is evident of Ellie Mae privatizing, $3.8 billion transaction in the mortgage space, and new CEO at Zillow. And by the way, the new CEO at Zillow is being even more aggressive, that, like, hey, we're Uberizing the real estate experience. So even greater transformation is changing. So here's my closing thought on Scriptapalooza. If you are not all in at being an advice-based, badass mortgage pro, I just think in studying Scripting Palooza and adopting the words, adopting the best practices, I think it's going to be a long season for you. Todd, I hand it off to you, brother.
So I love the article and I love that idea. And my biggest takeaway from what I read about Zillow was the fact that they're only in 7 markets last year, and they're actually getting a request for a cash offer every 5 minutes. So think about that. Think about it when they're in more markets. That's going to be like every 5 seconds or 5 a second or something crazy. So be thinking through how you're adding value as your trusted advisor to your clients. I think when you go back to Scriptapalooza and you think annual mortgage review, think annual mortgage review and annual real estate review when you're there. I think there's just a huge opportunity for you all to continue to add value. And, it's interesting now that it's becoming more public knowledge. I may or may not, I can't confirm or deny if I'm spending tomorrow evening with the number 1 and first Zillow listing agent in town or in America. And so I've got a list of questions already I've gotten from a bunch of friends. So feel free to PM me if you got any questions you would like to know, but the numbers are really staggering. So that you maybe bring that up. And I do think that was a great article that you and Kristen did. And I do think the fact that shift happens, right? And shift happened, as you said. And I think it's really critical for us all to remember, hey, it's already happened, so that's okay, but let's make sure we stay ahead of it. And I think that's what this community is all about. So I don't really have much more I'll throw at it right now, because I'd love to hear from the rest of the crew on what they've been up to and what they've got going on.
So Todd, I do want you to ask a question along these lines. That acronym that we got from Steve Brown, what Amazon can't do, you need to do WACD. I would love for you to talk to this guy, because he's got really deep into Zillow and what they can do and how he is supporting it. But I'd love to know, what is the WZAD? What Zillow can't do? And that actually came up, and I don't want to take credit for the acronym, because I was riffing with Coach Carl White this morning, and we were talking about some things that we're doing, and I was talking about WACD. And Carl's like, well, what about WZAD? Nice. So if maybe you could bring some wisdom back to us from this guy.
I would love to do that. And I actually know somebody who went through the Zillow buy process. So I've had a little bit of insight into that as well. And Bill Hart and I had posted a few months back an interview we did with a guy named Kenny Klaus, a realtor, and I'll repost that link later today in here. But Kenny talked about how he's approached it as a real estate agent. He's a $100 million+ guy, and what he's doing with regards to his practice. And so we should probably do a follow-up call on that when we have a little more research done.
All right, we'll do that. So, Michelle, anything else you want to cover on this topic before we transition topics?
No, I mean, on the Zillow thing, the CEO, they talked about, I watched NMP, or I get acronyms all wrong, but I watched his video, and it made me laugh a lot, and watching what the gentleman who now the new CEO was, Expedia's worked for Expedia, and they look at what they did to the travel business. So it's there, it's in the future, but again, I don't know if buying real estate and then selling it for them is a great thing right now. But what do I know? That guy's a multi-billionaire and he does a great job. And Zillow has cornered the market, and they have all the rights to do what they're doing. And whether you want to support them or not is your decision. And I don't blame them for it. I have no ill will, because I love Zillow. I've always been a Zillow fan. I don't advertise anymore there, but I think that we just have to, it tells us again, we have to get more into the personal, because when Zillow breaks out or when Amazon breaks out, there's always going to be a Zillow and an Amazon. There's always going to be a Rocket Mortgage. There's always going to be somebody that's sitting there saying, hey, they're teaching the clients to look at rate, and we can close a loan in 7 days, but is that what's important? And you can only find that out by talking to your client and finding out, a 7-day close, think about it. That doesn't give them time to even barely do an inspection, let alone get an appraisal in. So just remember, and those are the things that you talk about. I don't want my client's experience to be 7 days rushed, because especially if they're first-time home buyer, that's their first experience of a mortgage, and they're going to be frantic. I want their first experience of a mortgage to be calm, cool, collected, we've got you, you're taken care of. And I don't know that you can do that. I know I couldn't do that in 7 days.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how the space evolves. And one thing I know for sure, the mortgage coach community, this community is the country's best of the best, will be a competitive advantage to the people that tune in and to the people that take action to what they tune into. So with that said, let's transition. Jen Duplessis, I don't know if you can jump on camera. Jen, you have spoken at a number of events. You've been to a lot of places. Would love to get takeaways from you. Before you give takeaways, if you could just tell us where you've been, so we at least know what events you've been speaking at.
Well, and I was going to do that. Yeah, I was absolutely going to do that. Well, where haven't I been? And I don't want to go. I mean, I literally have been across the country, like crisscrossing. And I started thinking, given the fact that I really work on, my effectiveness and priority management, and that's one of my expertises, I've got to figure out how to make this speaking stuff happen where I'm west and stay west for a while and then come east instead of going back and forth. But I don't control the conferences and the speaking opportunities. But, yeah, so I just got back from, the biggest one that I just got back from is City Summit. And, I was fortunate enough to go to City Summit in New York as well. And I was one of the speakers there. But that was very small. This one was major stage, major stage. This is 600 to 1,000 people. Do
you have a water?
Yeah, in the audience is thousands of people. I mean, and thousands of things that they do, from real estate and mortgages to, wait till you hear all the people. So here's who I met and heard. Kevin Harrington, the original Shark Tank, right? Shark Tank. And I've had the pleasure of speaking with Barbara Corcoran.
Where's the restroom? Yeah.
He's not on mute. Hey, Dave, the restroom's down the hall.
I'm going to mute Dave. Hang on.
That's hilarious.
Wow. Wait, I'm on mute. I'm on mute. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's all right. I'm glad he didn't say, where's the head or whatever guys say. So Kevin Harrington, the original Shark, and I've actually have spoken with Barbara 3 or 4 times, so she's just lovely. Les Brown, obviously. I'm just trying to think of all the people. Jeff Hoffman, who's the founder of Priceline. And, when I went there, I thought, Priceline, okay, I'm going to listen to him because I don't use it, actually. But of all the speakers, the most impactful for me, Les has lots of sayings and phrases that I'm going to tell you about, but Jeff Hoffman is a wonderful man inside and out. And what I didn't know about him is that he is also the creator and inventor of all the kiosks that we use at the airports now. So he made $1 gazillion in Priceline, and now he's making $1 gazillion there. Wonderful man. Who else? Alex Stern, who's been he's now a very good friend of mine. He's one of my mentors. I asked him to be on my advisory committee. He is the founder of Constant Contact. Brian Harris, who's the founder of UGG Boots, just fun to be around and hang around. When I was up in New York, we spent time in this group till 6 o'clock in the morning, hanging around with Brian Harris from Australia, which was really fun. Frank Shankwitz, who is the founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, very humble man, very great man. There's a movie coming out about his life in June called Wishman. So he's just fun to be around. And Rob Agel, now you probably don't know him, but he invented Pictionary. Really creative man. So hopefully I'll have more opportunities to help me be more creative. And then, of course, Wesley Snipes was there, and Colin Farrell, and Yo Dog, Randy Jackson. They were all there as well. So wonderful thing. But I want to just share with you, I want to first go back to what Michelle had to say about personalization. And I have a couple of group coaching sessions, programs going on right now. And last night I spent quite a bit of time talking about this. So I want to just kind of lay this out there or throw it out to you in the strategy of how to get that personal relationship with people. And unfortunately, I didn't I haven't had a chance to listen to Script Palooza. Saturdays are my days to listen to everything that happened during the week. You know, I've said before, slow down to speed up. That's exactly what Michelle's saying, is we've got to take that extra time, because look how she was able to bring people in with her. So my strategy has always been, and it's nothing sexy about this, it's just talking to clients about their entrance strategy, which I think most loan officers do. Hey, it's this down payment and here are the fees, yada, yada, yada. And that's where it really stops. And this is what Michelle is trying to say, is that we've got to go beyond that, right? So I talk about the entrance strategy of the loan, the holding strategy of the loan, and then the exit strategy of the loan and or the home. And so let me break that down. Obviously, the entrance is good. That's our hopes and dreams call, our discovery meetings. We've all had different words for this, you know, preparing a TCA. That's that part of it. But the holding strategy is this. If you were to ask someone, and this is great for your realtors too, if you were to ask someone who's managing their assets, they're most likely going to tell you Bob. Bob manages my assets. They're not going to say Edward Jones, Morgan Stanley. They're going to say Bob. But when you ask somebody, because I've asked these people for years, this is how I ran my practice. I asked people for years, you know, who manages your mortgage? The immediate response is Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Mr. Cooper. They think that by making a payment to a lender, that the lender's managing their mortgage. We need to change that. We need to move forward with that very quickly so that people understand that we are in the business of managing mortgages, right? Adopting their mortgage. I'd love to adopt your mortgage if you've been orphaned by your other loan officer who has never called you since closing and never communicates with you. You've been orphaned. I'd love to adopt your mortgage and manage your mortgage. And this is fantastic for realtors too, because they can ask that same question. And I can't wait to hear or listen in on, I think it was Nicole that you had said, you know, on how to work with realtors. But this is great for realtors to also say, hey, who's managing your real estate? And they're not going to really understand it. And so it's an opportunity for them to grow their database and create these relationships. And then and so that becomes your holding strategy. Are we doing a 5-1 arm or a 10, or I would say 5 or 7-1 arm where we're going to make the payments as a fixed rate loan and accelerate the payoff? And if that's the case, it's your duty, your job to communicate with that client after closing to ensure that that's exactly what they're doing. If that's the advice you're going to give them, you better hold yourself accountable by managing their mortgage on an annual basis so that that exit strategy becomes exactly what the client anticipated. And if you have to make little adjustments during the holding because of market conditions or because life happens to them and they lose their job, etc., you need to be there to support them. This is how you level up and become the expert in business. So do you want me to stop right there?
Yeah, I want to pile on to that because, I mean, this is a topic we talk about over and over and over, but I just don't think it could be talked about too much. You know, especially under the concept of what are you going to do that Amazon can't do? What are you going to do that Zillow can't do? And this also pulls me from a quote from my recent article with Kristen, and this quote right here came from an off-the-records interview that I did with Francis LeBeau. Now, Francis LeBeau, prior to working for Mr. Cooper, which I do think if they're not number one, they're one of the top 2 or 3 servicers of mortgages in America. So, I mean, this is a company that is dedicated to mortgages under management. So think about that. You know, largest servicer of loans hires the chief revenue officer of WeWork, a disruptor. I mean, WeWork is the Uber of office space. I don't know exactly what the valuation is. I'm pretty sure the most recent round that they were going to raise, it was like $30 billion. So we're talking a disruptor that is reinventing how workers, people like us, work in the space that we work. They hired Francis LeBeau, and his role is, you know, he's in charge of product. I think his title, if you look at him on LinkedIn, you can click on this link and look at it. He's president of Mr. Cooper Labs. So this is who this guy is. And Mr. Cooper is serious about if they're servicing a loan, that person doesn't go anywhere. Here's what he said, and this should really be a wake-up call for every local referral-based loan officer on this call. And I wasn't trying to get this quote out of him. I was really interviewing him as the former chief revenue officer of WeWork, saying, hey, there is disruption coming to the mortgage space and the real estate space. How do you think it's going to happen? And this quote is a little different than what he actually said, but he adjusted the quote from what he actually said. And what he said is that the most inefficient source of wealth in America and the biggest opportunity in America, not saying real estate and mortgage, just biggest opportunity in America is home equity. And most people, they move into their home and then they live. They're not optimizing how they're improving it. They're not making the best decisions. They're not optimizing it as an income source. They're not optimizing it with how they manage the mortgage. You know, the American real estate residential market is the biggest opportunity of wealth in America, and the lack of technology and the lack of services is just plain old one of the three biggest opportunities in America as a whole. So what does that mean? You know, that means, and that's one of the reasons why all this big money is coming into the mortgage space. It's why Blend, you know, raised some insane amount of money. It's why private capital is coming in and taking down Ellie Mae. You know, it's why, you know, Zillow is trying to Uberize the real estate opportunity is, guys, and everybody on this call and everybody that's a referral-based local mortgage professional, you are the experts. You know your local market, you know your customer, and all of the gold that you have is delivering service and value to your past customers. So I just wanted to shine a new strategic light on it because you made the topic. Read that article that Kristen and I did and really think about the wealth that you have under management within your past customer database, and then think about how ad hoc, random, unbest practice you are, inconsistent you are with annual reviews, inconsistent with helping families optimize wealth with real estate. You know, you're too busy hunting for the next deal and chasing the next great referral partner, and you're leaving your golden goose unattended to. Todd, I know you came on camera. I don't know if you want to play off of that.
You know, I just think that you're so spot on, and it kind of goes back to what I said earlier, so I don't want to necessarily, you know, beat a dead horse, but the bottom line is this: your clients are counting on you, right? You heard Jen just walk through like what it is you want to be viewed as, and think about where you are now and how you can get there quickly. Because I do believe that there is just a ton of opportunity there. So you'll hear me talking a lot more about this going forward. So just stay tuned, as it's probably the place I'm going to plant my flag this year with customer engagement, of course, other than productivity and winning by noon.
Yeah. Yeah. And so thanks for, you know, drilling all that down, you guys, because well, a matter of fact, I just changed the name of my podcast to Stop Talking, Take Action, Get Results, because I'm sick of it. And didn't I mention this months ago? I was like, you guys, you got to get sick of this. You got to be over it. And it's more like, you know, just shut up and go do it. And so I really, really beg you, if you want to be professional and you want to be in this business long term, and I feel like I'm just repeating this, it's like Groundhog Day for me, but you know, we are professionals, and so act like it, right? Gather all this information, this knowledge, and really it stems from three things. And I love that you just said this. I was going to call you Craig. I don't know why, Todd, but anyway. So what I do is I help loan officers multiply their results in record time while working less so they can have a life. Okay? That's what I do. And in doing that, there's this umbrella of consistency that has to happen everywhere. And it happens in your connections, and whether you're nurturing or neglecting your clients and your referral partners, right? So it's how you manage that database and the connections with them. It's in your communication, your PLP, right? Whether it's effective internally for you and efficient internally for you and effective for the client. It can't be effective and not efficient, vice versa. So you've got to hone that in, and you have to be great at that. And then the last part is the credibility. It's selling. This is not selling, it's serving your clients. And you can't be credible unless you have the designations, the expertise, the time it takes to work to figure out how to use the TCA in every capacity possible, like what was presented in Scriptapalooza, saying, look, if it's going to happen, then I'm going to have competition. Let me throw their stuff in. It's work. There's no question about it. And so the days of, and way back, it wasn't like this either, but gosh, the days of, just taking loan applications, like Michelle said, and asking 5 questions, they're over. And if that's how you want to operate your business, then I'm going to pray for you, right? So here's another thing. Don't become a dinosaur. Become a crocodile. Dinosaurs go extinct. Why are crocodiles? They were around the same time the dinosaurs were too. They learned how to adapt. It is time to dig in and adapt. It's time to go internal and deep instead of looking for the magic pill and the shiny object outside someplace else. If you're going to bring technology in like Mortgage Coach, you have to own it. You have to learn it inside out and backwards and be credible. And those are really the only 3 things you have to do. Communicate, connect, and be credible. Be an expert icon in your industry. So I'm going to hop off that soapbox and just say that it's super simple, very simple, but you got to put the work in.
You know what, Jen, you always do such a good job of kind of bringing it all down to a few basic points. Sorry, Dave, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I cut you off all the time, man. I'll let you keep going.
But I always think, Jen, you do such a great job of that. So as you guys are all listening to that, I mean, sort of take note. I mean, you've got someone here who's talking all over the country and sharing these ideas. And although you may think, hey, this isn't rocket science, none of this stuff is, right? It's all out there. So jump in, take some action. What's the name of your podcast now?
Well, you're going to be able to find it at the same place, but it's Stop Talking, Take Action, Get Results. Personal and Professional Development with Jen Duplessis. I mean, that's like the subtitle. But so if you're already a member of Mortgage Lending Mastery, it's just going to have a new name change. So that's all. You're just going to see it differently.
Love it. All right, Dave, what would you say before I cut you off?
Yeah, no problem. So 2 things. Someone just asked, is this being recorded? I want to remind you guys, yeah, every call we do is recorded. And so the Tuesday interviews and Scriptapalooza was this Tuesday's interview, has a playlist. It's in our YouTube channel. This is our Friday Productivity Mastermind, and this call will be uploaded here within hours. So yeah, this call is recorded. Every call is recorded. And think of our YouTube channel as Netflix for mortgage pros. Only you make money watching these videos. So make sure you tune in.
Binge watch.
Rewatch. So, one thing that it just made me think of, so I'm in Seattle today. I provided some leadership and did a training with a large top 10 national purchase lender yesterday. And then I was invited to lead call it like an elite networking group of, I think everyone in the room did over 20 million in production. They ranged from producing branch managers to regionals. And the guy who sat across from me had an Apple Watch on, one of these. And he was looking at it, I kind of saw him playing with it. I'm always like, oh, what's your favorite app? How do you use it? And he's like, and I love what he said next. He's like, oh, I've only had it for 2 days, so brand new. I haven't worn a watch, I think he said in 10 years, but who knows? He might have said 20 years. I hadn't worn a watch in a long time, but I know, remember, this is a guy, I think he closes 40 million a year in production. So he's a baller. And he goes, I need to upgrade how I use technology. And so he wasn't getting at, I'm not here to say everybody needs to get an Apple Watch. I mean, it's a metaphor. But he was kind of on this personal improvement that wherever he can use technology to be more efficient and effective in life, By the way, his favorite feature was the activity monitoring. He was really into fitness, really healthy guy. And he wanted to, kind of upgrade how he was doing fitness. So while I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, and I think everybody should be delivering a total cost analysis, that's the way to upgrade and deliver the best advice experience, leveraging technology. I would push everybody on this call, upgrade everything you do in life, how you get on airplanes. You should be downloading your pass, even though it's uncomfortable and even though you're used to getting your boarding pass somewhere else, do it with your phone. Get used to it. If it's taking notes on Evernote, get used to it. And again, now, if you're going to retire in like 3 years from the mortgage industry, maybe, forget what I'm saying. You can keep doing whatever you want. But if retiring in 3 to 5 years isn't the game plan, then just be this human being that uses technology to amplify your humanity in the mortgage business and outside of the mortgage business. It'll be good for you. You'll make more money. You'll have more fun. You'll have more time for your passions and your hobbies if you do that. So I'll throw it back to the crew. I would love to know, what are some other little like base hit technology upgrades that the community could do if anybody has any ideas on that. But wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I haven't been doing much in the technology upgrade space lately because I just, I'm a life learner, right? So I'm not a pretend life learner. I actually take the time to learn, and I have to, break out the time. It's a lot, like I said, it's a lot of work, but it gives me that knowledge so that I'm, just the best I can possibly be. It's, how I said the dinosaur and the crocodile, it's like adapt or go extinct. And that's what Dave is saying here, is to do that. So I don't want to continue to rant and rave about what I learned unless you all want to hear that. I just want to get feedback from everybody else on what Dave just said too. I don't want to just take that.
It's funny. Here's what I would say on that. And I would tell you, I have a slightly, I 100% agree that you've got to adopt to the new technology, but I think the challenge is not to get consumed by the new technology.
Exactly.
So I did also jump in last time I was in Portland to the no sales tax, to the Apple Watch generation craze, whatever you would call it. And I had to turn off all of the notifications on it because it was a distraction for me, right? So I would tell you that what I'm doing right now is I'm becoming laser focused around the time that I'm on technology, on social media, and I'm making sure that it's ridiculously efficient. So, whether it comes to your email, which I know Dave's using SaneBox, I'm using unroll.me to disorganize or to move my stuff out for free. And then I'm also setting up rules and unsubscribing from so much stuff so that when I have a moment and I'm going to be focused on technology, that I can be as efficient as possible with it. And I'm really being careful of my time. So you could almost, there's probably some better word for it, but I'm just being really laser focused on it. I've deleted all the apps on my phone that I don't use. And so I can just go on there. I can find just the most important ones on my home screen, the next most important ones on the next screen. And then I've got this last screen that's, I'll show it to you. It's actually kind of crazy, but the last screen is the one that I dumped everything else into. And my guess is that this last screen that's full of all these different things, where they're all in those folders. I don't know that I'm not using that stuff very much. And so I find it more efficient now to use the search bar on my phone. And so I would just be thinking through, yes, adopt all this new technology, but how can you be more efficient with your time and not let it own you and disrupt you? And I won't go on my rant any further because I could just tell you I've been studying it a lot, and it's the number one challenge. I heard a statistic day before yesterday. I'm trying to verify that the average American will spend 2 years on Facebook in their lifetime. And think about that. That is a little bit crazy. Average American spending 23 hours a week right now texting. So, and Dave spends 26 hours a week texting. So I don't, he's not one to tell me otherwise.
No. Well, guys, let's remember. Well, I get all that. It's communicating, and we've always spent a lot of time communicating as human beings. It just used to be the only way to communicate was in person, and then the telephone was invented, and it was in person and it was over the telephone, and then And then TV was invented, and well, radio was invented, and we listened to the radio. That was entertainment, but it was communicating, with bigger audiences. So all these trends that we're talking about, they're forms of communication. They're how we get educated, they're how we get entertained, they're how we build relationships. And the world of building relationship has been reinvented. It's called social media, it's called video, it's called Facebook, it's called YouTube, it's called Google. I recently went to an event, and the president of Quicken was talking, and he, this is something that, they obsess over conversion. They obsess over 0.1% in lead conversion, and that's one of the reasons why they're so successful and amazing. They are super clear that we are a great marketing company that does mortgages. Communication. They're geniuses with how they communicate, their value prop, their strategy, and what they do and how they do it. And there's something else that they get that I don't think most over 50-year-olds don't get this. Like my teenagers, they wouldn't say this, they wouldn't verbalize this.
Be nice.
But go ahead, Jen.
I'm 55. Be nice there, Dave.
Okay, well, just hear me out. So it used to be that we delivered all our value by what we know, the knowledge that we have, and the smartest person, the most well-read person wins. And in today's world, it's the person that knows how to ask the right questions and use technology to get the best answers the fastest wins. Because there is infinite knowledge that can be Googled, that can be gained by asking the right people. So I mean, at the end of the day, this combination of being wise and then using technology to deliver the best communication experience the most efficiently and effectively, it's different. And, like my teenagers can learn anything on, YouTube. They can get an answer to anything because they know how to ask the right question and search. But I do think a lot of people who are older, they're so used to, either learning through reading and all these things that they don't like I tell my wife, Google it. You got to remind them, Google it. Whereas I think younger people, they're just so used to that. So guys, we got about 5 minutes. I'm going to let Todd, you wrap it up, ask questions, provide your coaching feedback, and let's wrap up today's call over the next 5 minutes.
I am super excited to be on here today with all of my co-hosts here. And I think that there were some gems there from everyone today. And we're getting a lot of people asking questions on technology and how to speed this up. And I would tell you that I've learned so much from Dave, and maybe he and I will plan a call in the next month or so where we actually just address through all these different tools that we're using. And maybe we can find some of you in the community who have a tool that you like. You can maybe post it in the thread below, and maybe we can bring you in to teach what your tool does and why you like it. Because the bottom line is this, right? Dave talked about it. It's about disruption. It's already happening. It's going to continue to go. Your competitors, right? They view themselves as marketing company first, right? They're out there to get your client into their funnel, and they're experts at lead conversions. So we've got to get better with our scripting and our process and our connections. And that's what you heard both Michelle and Jen talk about. And so it's not that hard if you pick your priorities and you focus your time on these most important things. And as Michelle mentioned, this group was started as the Insane Productivity Mastermind group way back 2.5 years ago. And then we opened it up to all mortgage stuff. And so think through from a productivity perspective, what is it that you can do a little bit better today, right? We talk about jam sessions on time where you actually work on these things. You're going to have to schedule time. Like I'm all excited for when Dave's team gets together. He called it a value pack on the call, so I really like that. But they're going to put out their playbook. But you got to schedule time for that, because guess what? I've already seen the transcript for Scriptapalooza. Guess what? It's 50 pages. You've got to schedule some time for this. So I think that where we're kind of landing here on this technology piece is super cool, especially when we start talking about how the things outside the industry can apply. So I don't know what the rest of you think and how we close out from here. But I had a fun call today for me.
Yeah, somebody just
flew by.
Roberta just said, wow, it flew by, and we're all saying that too. So let me, I know just a few seconds. So let me just throw out some of these quotes that were done that will cross all these lines, not in any order. First of all, if you want to be poor, pass over opportunities repeatedly. Acronym. If you want to be poor, keep passing over opportunities repeatedly, right? These opportunities to learn, these opportunities to implement, all of that is part of what we just talked about. Ask yourself this, what do you need to drop so that you can pick up your business? What do you need to drop so you can
Love that.
Right? That's a good one, right? Ask your way to success. Be selfish in order to help others. Your goal as a lender is to help others. If you need help, be selfish. Ask for help. Get the help you need so that you can be the expert so that you can help others. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go with somebody else. Get help, right? I thought that was really good. The other thing is we get in this this place where we're at, where it's not abundance, but scarcity. So don't chase the money, chase your excellence, and the money will come. Chase your excellence and the money will come to you. One of the things that Les said, and I'll leave it with this, I can't be casual about my dream, or my dream will become a casualty. Right?
Boom.
Yeah. So you can't be casual about all this. You've got it. Please, guys, dig in. You have it. I know you can do it. It's just a matter of finding the motivation to do it.
So a couple thoughts. One, if you could email those to me so I can get those posted in comments, or you can post them in comments.
I'll post it.
You gotta, I love that last one, document your dreams in your Win by Noon planner. And make sure that you find out the dreams of the clients that you serve and deliver a total cost analysis showing them that you heard them. So couldn't resist that one. It just tied so nicely into the two sponsors of Scriptapalooza. Michelle Town, you taking a back seat here. Any last words for you before we wrap it?
I just say it's amazing. I just remind everybody to invest in yourself, and investing in yourself means either taking some downtime or listening to the Scriptapalooza or reading a good book that's going to energize your brain and your mind. When you're energized, the rest of your team sees you're energized, and you free up and get rid of so much junk. And one of the hardest things is to look at those tasks that you've been pushing off and pushing off and pushing off. Guess what? Delete the task. You don't need to do it anymore. Free up your time.
Love it, guys. So I think we executed on putting on the best sales meeting in the mortgage industry today. Friday, what is it, the first or the second? The first. The best sales meeting in the mortgage industry just happened. If you are a manager and you want to bring this to your team, feel free to share it. It'll be in our YouTube channel within moments. If you were on this call and you got value, whether you're watching the recording in Facebook or the recording in YouTube and you got value, give us a like. Let us know that you're engaged in this tech content and that we gave you something of value. And to all the hosts or the guests, thank you guys. Have an awesome weekend, and this call is a wrap.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend.